Namaste, everyone. I'm Prabha Krishna, the director of Yoga Bharati. We welcome all of you to the first talk series in remembrance of the teachings from Professor Shastriji. So today's esteemed speaker is Shri Raghunandan Trikannad, a chemical engineer by qualification who chose to dedicate his life to the inner journey of spirituality. He was deeply inspired by Paramahamsa Sri Ramakrishna, and he moved away from his professional career to immerse himself in the practice and study of our scriptures. And he's been a long-time student of Professor Shastriji. Sri Trikannad has received profound insights directly from this revered Vedanta master, insights that have shaped his own spiritual understanding and expression. He has authored 9 deeply reflective works on life and spirituality, including The Wisdom of Vashishta, Silent Journey, Insights into Existence and Humanscapes. His first book, The Wisdom of Vashishta, was launched by Dr. Abdul Kalamji at Rashtrapati Bhavan in 2004. And he has been associated with Vivekananda Kendra Kanyakumari since 1976. And Sri Trikannad brings with him decades of rich experience in service, study, and sadhana. And now he continuing his pursuit, spiritual pursuit from Chalakudi, Kerala. So I warmly welcome Sri Raghunandan ji to share his reflections. So before that, we'll start with the Om and Shanti mantra, and we receive the grace of the divine and hear Sri Raghunandan ji. So let's all sit with closed eyes, back spine straight, relaxed shoulders, a beautiful smile on your face, forehead relaxed and smooth. Become aware of your breath, slow and steady breaths, and tune into yourself. Gently join the palms to Namaskara Mudra. 3 rounds of Om with Shanti mantra. Breathe in. Om. 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 Sahanavavatu, sahanau bhunaktu, sahaviryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Harihi Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Bow down, may we all be nourished today. That there be peace within me, around me, and in the entire universe. Gently blink your eyes open. And before we move on to Sri Raghunandanji's topic on Vichara, I just thought let me take a few more minutes to introduce Professor Shastriji. Maybe so many of you might be not knowing him. So it's also it's a privilege and honor to remember and honor Professor Shastriji because he is also the guru of my guru Raghuramji. And there are so many scholars and people who are all students of Professor Shastriji because he was a rare blend of scientist, a philosopher, and a seer. He was a professor of chemistry by training, Shastriji, and he turned his brilliant intellect towards the study of the Upanishads, Yoga Vashishta, and Vedanta, and transforming so many lives through his clarity, compassion, through his lectures in Vivekananda Kendra and also in Bangalore. He was rooted in science. He thought in a scientific aspect, like how Raghuramji always used to say. And I think that's what inspired many intellectuals also to Shastriji's sessions. And he brought timeless wisdom of our scriptures into very simple practical insight for daily living. And his teachings continue to inspire seekers to look within. And one of his students, Radhakrishnan sir, has already written a book, Let Go book, which was actually inspired by the teachings of Shastriji. I'm sure many of you might have the book and have read it also. So Shastriji was a luminous bridge between knowledge and realization. He a scientist, I would say a scientist, Rishi itself. So now somebody, yeah. And now I would invite Sri Raghunandan ji to start the session on his beautiful topic on Vichara. And let's all hear. And whenever any questions come to your mind, please put it in the chat. I will ask him once this session gets over so that we are all able to have a proper question answer series also. Thank you so much. Over to Raghunandan sir.
Am I audible? Yeah. ब्रह्मरूपमादिमध्यशेष सर्वभासकम् भावषट्कहीनरूपनित्यसत्यमद्वयम् वाङ्मनोतिगोचरं च नेति नेति भावितम् तं नमामि देवदेव रामकृष्णमीश्वरम् सर्वधर्मगम्यमूलसत्यतत्त्वदेशिकम् सिद्ध सर्वसम्प्रदाय साम्प्रदायवर्जितम् सर्वशास्त्रमर्मदर्शि सर्वविन्निरक्षरम् तं नमामि देवदेव रामकृष्णमीश्वरम् तं नमामि देवदेव रामकृष्णमीश्वरम्. Namaste to everyone. I'm very grateful to Yog Bharati for giving me an opportunity to share some of my not only thoughts, experiences, which I had after coming in contact with so many people, including Professor dear Satyanarayan Shastriji. Basically, we are all in search of something, all of us. Whether we are in the spiritual line or otherwise, we are in search of something. And many a time, it appears as if we achieve whatever we wanted to achieve. And the very next moment, we discover that our hands are empty. Very recently, I was reading an interview with one Mr. V.M. Shastri. Yes, V.M. Joshi. He was a cinematographer and a person who associated himself with the legendary filmmaker Guru Dutt. It seems, after producing so many films, and most of the films were critically acclaimed. They were in black and white. So the photography used to be very, very good at that time. They had to be, because they didn't have so many digital appliances at that time. And once when Kagaz Ka Phool was released, he was extremely happy. And then he just confided in this cinematographer. He said, I've achieved everything. Name, fame, money. And the beauty was that he continued his lower middle class status even while getting all this fame. And yet he said, in spite of having everything, I have nothing. Perhaps that's the experience which most of us get. And suddenly start questioning our achievements, our so-called goals. And we find that somehow or other we are missing something. That's when we get the opportunity to get into the door of spirituality. Our rishis, who were pioneers as far as mind culture, self-culture, and basically the foundations of our culture, they discovered that these So-called goals are just passing, temporal. And one question, in fact, Shastriji used to say that you ask the right question at the right time, you get the answer, uncovering, unfolding itself. So these are temporal. Is there anything which is eternal? This question started their quest. And simple as they were truthful. There was no complications in their mind. They were simple. And they discovered that there is a presence within which experiences all these things. I'll explain. We perceive the objects, and unless and until there is a person who is perceiving it, we cannot have an experience. Our Rishi said that everything else is secondary, and the primary thing is that principle, that presence. If we are able to get it, if we are able to experience it, and if you are lucky, are able to identify with it, then all our so-called problems will be solved. A question arises, how is it that we can achieve it? Every one of us must be knowing that very famous, often quoted mantra from Kathopanishad, which says, Paranchikhani vyatranat swayam bhu tasmat pashyati nantara pashyati paran pashyati nantaratman kaschid dhiraha pratyagatmanamaiksha avritta chakshu amritatvam. Perhaps this is the only mantra which gives the total definition or total understanding of spirituality. When our attention, in fact, I'll use that word attention, when our attention is always outside, because we have identified ourselves with the body and the senses as such. And senses, naturally, it says they are outward, like the windows opening outside. They cannot open inside. They cannot see inside. Eyes cannot see itself. It can see the outside. Similarly, all our organs. Because most of our attention, and to most of us, all our attention is always going outside. That is why we are not unable to see it. But when we are able to turn our attention within, then we are able to behold something which is other than those temporal beings, temporal things. A question may arise that, do you mean to say that all these rishis were joy killers? In the sense that they used to be all the time closing their eyes and living in the world of meditation and the world of their own? Not at all. Our Upanishadic tradition says that all these rishis were raising their families, living full life, and yet understanding themselves and living a full life. Someone has very rightly analyzed our fond wish, which we are not able to fulfill. What is that fond wish? We want that kind of happiness. Initially, all of us know, because we are all Shastriji's students, all of us are seeking happiness. That is understood by all of us in this August assembly. What kind of happiness do we need? It says Nityam. It should be eternal. Second is Purnam. It should be whole. The third one is Sarvatmakam. It should be within all beings and all things. So whenever I come in contact with it, I become joyous, I become happy. The fourth thing is most important. What is that? Swata Siddham. Swata Siddham means I should get it with least effort and preferably with no effort. And the last one, it says, it should be aparoksham. It should be without any medium. And the rishis say, this can only be the true bliss, Ananda, Satchitananda, true bliss. And that we are seeking unconsciously. But how is it that we are seeking? We are seeking in the temporal things. Now, one wonderful question arose during our discussions. It says, what is temporal? Is this a table or the chair or this house is temporal? In fact, not at all. They are relatively permanent than all of us, human beings, because we are the people who are temporal. And because we are not here, that is why all the experiences, they appear to be temporal to us. They appear. Why? Because how is it that we are experiencing it? Through our five senses. They are aided or with the help of manas. Manas is behind the senses. If the manas is not behind, for example, we are reading something or we are listening to some music and somebody calls out our name, the sound as such goes into our ear, but we are unable to listen. Why? Because that sense has no background or it doesn't, the mind is elsewhere. It is occupied elsewhere because of which we are not able to see. So manas is necessary. And manas, all of us are probably, most of us who are hearing this or most of us in the world, they are very much aware it is extremely volatile. Flux, it's a flux. It's a continuous stream of thoughts which keep changing. So is our intellect. We have so many conflicts in our mind. We have so many arguments in our mind. We jump from one thought to the other in discussing, in taking the responsibility for it. And the responsibility is taken by ahankara, which is again evanescent. I'll give you an example of ahankara. Today, let us say that it used to happen in our college. One of my roommates is to decide around 10 o'clock in the night before going to sleep, I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock. And in the morning at 5 o'clock, he had that huge alarm clock. And that used to make such a lot of noise. Whether he got up or not, we don't know. We all used to get up. So that used to make sound and he'll promptly click it down and then close it. And then he'll get up, go and wash, go to the washroom and come back. He'll look outside the window and he'll say, "Aaj thoda thand hai yaar. Let me sleep for 5 minutes." And he'll go to sleep and get up at 7 o'clock and all of us used to go to the college. What happened? The one who decided to get up in the morning is no more there. Somebody else has come into that place and then that person he didn't decide, so he's going to sleep. So this is the case with all the aparoksha myth without the medium of all these mind, that is body, senses, manas, buddhi, and ahankara. All these are mediators. So I want happiness without these. Then only it can be permanent. That's how they analyzed. This process of analysis is the starting point of vichara. I call it a starting point because when we start the journey in the path on the path of vichara, there are so many impediments we get, and those impediments are to be removed. Those obstacles are to be removed. What is the first obstacle, the greatest obstacle? It is that all our attention, most of our attention is always flowing outside. And consequently, this is the experience of many of the beginners who have started doing meditation. They're able to sit closed eye for probably about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But in that process, somehow or the other, they feel uneasy and then they open their eyes and get up. And then there's an expression in Hindi which says, मुझे पता नहीं कुछ काटने के लिए दौड़ रहा है. Something is going to attack me when I close my eyes. Why? Because the mind resists. Not only that, it rebels to sit quietly, to look within. and then it wants to flow outside. This is the greatest obstacle. And for that, there are so many methods these people have given us. Each one of us, if I may say so, in this existence, how many beings are there? Each one of us can his own or her own method of meditation, or method of drawing this flow outside to within. Our Sanatan Dharma has got those wonderful rituals. In fact, this insight was also given by Shastriji. In fact, I'm not going to take his name all the time, because many of these things I learned, and I believe I have digested them. And whatever I speak is through my own experience. So these rituals are meant, whenever you start doing a ritual, especially these puja or Sandhya Vandana for that matter, every step is to be done in a particular manner. It has a gesture, mudra. It has a mantra. All those things are to be, in fact, done with devotion, sincerity, and alertness. What happens at that time? The mind is, in fact, indirectly forced into a method, into a habit. And that habit slowly and steadily helps our mind to go within. It's not possible to go. I think none of us are able to achieve this antarmukhata immediately after starting the practices. It's never possible unless he's an enlightened person himself who has taken birth. That being said, so these rituals will help us to turn our mind within. What about those people who do not want to do these rituals? We have the breathing exercises initially, then it becomes pranayama. We have asanas. We have dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all that. In fact, when you are trying to do these things, you have to regulate your life. And how do you do it? You do it through yama and niyama. Regulate your life. It doesn't mean, in fact, it is said that there are two places. We are all grahasthas, so we don't have to, or we cannot possibly follow this Mahavrata. Mahavrata means there is no exceptions. You have to follow it totally, in toto. You have to follow that life. But we can do Anuvrata. Small bits, whatever is possible for us, we'll do it. Follow this yama niyama. Do these rituals. If you don't have, practice asanas. Practice pranayama. And slowly and steadily, you learn how to take your mind within. When we do that, then we become ready for vichara. It was said earlier, I used to feel that before meeting persons like Raghunandan and Shastriji, I used to feel that probably this methodology of jnana marga or vichara is literally impossible for ordinary people. But then these people, these are the people who pioneers, I would say. Swami Vivekananda starting with that, and these are the people who followed him literally. He said that if at all Upanishads can be practiced, it can be practiced by a man in the society. It is for him. It is for him because these rishis are speaking and you can do it. Why? They said, we have faculties, different faculties. Each one of us has faculties. We have volition, the action. We have activity. Activity is a faculty where we engage, we occupy ourselves. We occupy ourselves. We have willpower, Ichha Shakti. That Ichha Shakti can be also used. The third one is feelings, bhavana, emotions. And he can seek the path of bhakti. And the fourth one is intellect. Intellect is responsible for analysis, discrimination, and a kind of power to decide which is right, which is wrong. This power of discrimination, Viveka, as it's called, Vivekananda, Viveka, as it's called, is inherent in intellect. So first three, asana, pranayama, you do the Raja Yoga, in which helps you to, asks you to practice asanas also. Simultaneously, something wonderful happens when you practice this. When you practice asanas, you are able to observe your body. Otherwise, most of the time, we are so involved with our body, identified with our body, that we feel that this is the body. It has got a particular height and particular shape. And so much so that everything which is transacting is connected with this body. All, in fact, if you just think about it, all our so-called scientific discoveries, most of them, are meant to increase the comfort level of the body. In our education also, what is it that we are doing? We are saying you learn this, you'll get a package, you'll get a good job, you'll be able to lead a happy life. The happy life is in package. Your learning is for package. So everything comes around so that only the idea is only it is for the sake of the body we are practicing. And probably this is where uh, some reforms are needed in education, unless and until we make the children aware that they have something called as mind, they have something called as feelings. Unless and until that happens, probably we'll become machines. But that's besides the point. We'll become aware of the body when we are practicing asanas. We'll become aware of the breath and the nuances of the breath, which is called as prana. Shastriji was a master as far as prana vidya is concerned. I do not know how many of you know about that. He was master of locks, these neuromuscular locks called as bandhas. And through that the practice of these bandhas, he was able to direct the prana to different levels wherever he wanted voluntarily. That's a very rare achievement, I would say. Somehow I didn't venture to go into that direction, but I'm just telling you. So prana vidya, you are able to become aware of the prana, which is very, very subtle. Not it, breathing is very gross, whereas prana is subtle. And through prana, he used to say that prana, if you are able to control the prana, your mind is automatically controlled. This is a thought from Vasishtha. So you are able to observe these things. But what about the Vichara Marga, which I want to take up today? Vichara Marga is, I personally felt that it is, after, in fact, I practiced everything, but I found this method, the method of Vichara, was perhaps it suited me and I felt it very, very simple and easy. See, we have this capacity to question. Basically, how does it start? It's with curiosity. You are curious to know something. And then you start asking, what is that? What? What is it? Why is it? Why is it? Why does it happen? And then the third one is how. How can we do it? Or how can we control it? How can we understand it? So these three principal starting points of questions: what, how, and the third, why. So these questions are very automatic to most of us, people uh, who have scientific background or even otherwise. It's not necessary that we should become scientists per se by having degrees in science or doctorate in science. Not necessary. Even ordinary person has this faculty, and it can be and it is used in this vichara marga. What happens? How does vichara starts? I'll give you an example. In fact, all the Upanishads, Vasishtha, Yoga Vasishtha, all these people give you different questions to begin with. What are those questions? He says, everything when I see, and this again experiences everyone's experience. A death takes place. In fact, we witness a death happening. We see somebody die. we go to the place, and then immediately a thought crosses our mind. This person has died. Yesterday he was alive, he or she was alive, and today he's no more. What is this death? Does anything survive after the death? That's where the answer comes a little later on, and which we'll go into presently. This is the question. So this question arises: is there anything permanent, eternal in this world? As I told you, we are temporal, and when we pass away, or when somebody sees us pass away, or when we see somebody pass away, we have to have this natural question, whether we ask or not. Many of us, I find, in fact, I too did it earlier, probably avoid this question because it's kind of scary. Death scares us because we may not be here tomorrow. That thought is quite gripping and it scares us. But later on, you notice that things are happening. The second thing which is asked is, in spite of all the knowledge which we have, all the knowledge, whatever knowledge, in fact, the super highway of knowledge, as it was called, web was called as super highway of early in those 70s. It was called as super highway of knowledge. And anybody has access to any knowledge from anywhere in the world. So availability of knowledge is so much. But are we wise? Is there any wisdom in us? Because of knowledge, are we somehow or the other breaking relationships with people who are very nearby? While involved in gathering information, what happens is we forget the person who is responsible to gather this information. The person who knows all this information is in front of him, and the person who knows, he is totally left out in our knowledge, and consequently there's problem. So is the second question as far as knowledge is concerned. And the third is the most important in all of us, in all our thoughts, is happiness. We want to be happy. And all our actions, all our activities, all our knowledge, all our possessions, they are meant to make us happy, or we believe that they will increase our happiness. And we know Sukha Dukkha Pariksha of this thing, we are all aware of it. And then I'm not going to discuss about that. The third question is happiness. Now I'll come to a sort of not a description per se, but it's an analysis of what is this perception as such. What is this, the mechanism of perceiving? How do we perceive? If we are able to not analyze, short, lessen the capacity, not the capacity, understanding of existence as such, it has got only three things. One is the Panchabhutas. The second thing is probably the energy. Panchabhutas includes energy. One is matter, and the second is energy in all its forms. And the third one is the consciousness or the presence which is there. Unless and until there is presence, there cannot be any perception. The Panchabhutas don't have any meaning because they don't exist for us. If there is no perceiver, if there is no presence within, if there is no consciousness within, then there can be no perception. The lifeless planets, which probably we discovered centuries back, they became alive because our scientists saw them through their telescopes. They got their existence. Sharavati, the Jog Falls, which is there, it is said that it was unknown to people. Nobody knew about it until one British person who went there and discovered. And then he said, this is a very beautiful sight. He saw it. In fact, his seeing made the Jog Falls alive. So unless and until perceiver is there, the person who perceives, I'd like to call it as presence. Unless and until there is a presence within, there cannot be any perception as such. So finally coming to that, the Rishis said, all this so-called knowledge is of no use because knowledge is about the world, about the existence. But the person who is behind knowing these things, knowing the existence, he is to be sought. And once he is approached, so this approach to that presence within is what is known as Vichara Marga. We are approaching, that is, to put it in simple words, we are all the time attentive to the outside world, but we slowly and steadily turn our attention within. I believe about some 2-3 years back when I was in Bangalore, uh, my nephew's wife, she showed us one YouTube. I remember only those 2 lines. They were sung by two ladies, two ladies. Those 2 lines are very much, in fact, they help me to sort of understand me better. ಹೊಸ್ತಿಲೊಳಗಿರದ ಇಸಿದ ಜ್ಯೋತಿಯಂತೆ ಒಳಗೆ ನೋಡುವವನು ತಾನೆ ಹೊರಗೆ ನೋಡುವವನು ತಾನೆ ಅರಿದೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ ಮರೆದೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ ಕಂಡೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ ಕಾಣೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ. These are the 2 lines. Then there is a very beautiful description of how what that thing. But I remembered only these 2 lines. And I said that this is vichara. This is introspection, self-introspection. Says, ಹೊಸ್ತಿಲೊಳಗಿರಿಸಿದ ಜ್ಯೋತಿಯಂತೆ. Hostilo means the threshold of the house. Earlier, this poem is by one Lingamma, a 12th century Shaivite saint of Karnataka. So she says, at that time, even now we have the main door, which is called as Hostilu in Kannada. So if you keep a lamp there, if you keep a jyoti there, that jyoti is able to lighten the external, which is outside the threshold, and the internal. What she means is, this body is the threshold. And the attention there, in fact, it is natural. You don't have to do anything about it. It has a natural tendency to light outside as well as inside. When this is light at both sides, but we are unable to see the inside. It is not a tragedy. I personally feel it's a boon, because when you have had enough of the world outside, we'll turn our attention within. Initially, in fact, whatever light is there, for us, as far as we are concerned, normal person is concerned, it lights up the whole world. But when we close our eyes, it becomes totally dark. So it lights up the outside as well as inside. And what is it lighting inside? It says, I understand, I know. That I know is an activity, knowing is an activity. I is the same. I know and I don't know. Both the eyes are same. Both the I is same. Kandenembavanu tane. The person who says, I saw. And the person who says, I don't see. That same, it is the same I which is saying, I don't see. Aridenembavanu tane. I understood. This is going to the buddhi level. I understood. And I don't understand. That I is the same. You just look at the compassion of this existence on us, on this supreme reality on all of us. It says, okay, if you want to go astray, go. Finish all your transactions, come back. When you have had enough, you come back. I don't, it gives us so much of, there's no binding. As far as our culture is concerned, there's nothing like you should do it, you should not do it, nothing like that. Each one of us has a choice. We can choose to go outside, we can choose to play outside all the time throughout our life. We'll finish joy, maybe we find joy in the things outside. Okay, fine. But a time will come when you'll say that, enough, I've had it. Just like you had a very sort of a busy day, engaging day, and at the end of it, what happens to you? You go to sleep, and it'll be a very nice sleep. So the reality is telling you, all right, go and play outside. Finish all your transactions. And when you come back to me, I'll put you to rest. I'll give you rest. In fact, let me assure you that existence is whispering to us all the time. All the time it is telling us, don't worry, it's okay. But somehow or the other, our preoccupations are so much. We are worried about getting something, whether we'll get it or not, or whether whatever I'm thinking, whether it will happen or not. All these conflicts that are going on, they are the ones, all the priorities that we keep, they are the ones who stop us from hearing that beautiful sound, beautiful advice, that whisper. Because outside it's all noise. So in this noise, we are not able to hear. So you finish all your transactions and come back. So now, as I was telling, these 2, 3 lines give us a small glimpse into the Vichara Marga. Light is there. Only thing is, you have to place the light. Now, one more question which comes. What is it that is stopping us from looking within? It's only a habit. We are all creatures of habit. All the time, because this is evolution as such, it has taken so much of energy, so much of attention on the outside. Because if you are not attentive, if as all the beings which took place, the organic evolution that took place, unless and until the intentions was outside, they would not have been able to survive. But we have become human beings, and still we continue that habit of us. In fact, the science is still, it is now presently, it is trying to understand. And I believe many of the people are able to know that the person who is observing has all the, so in fact, it is his view is all that matters. Not the things outside, not the objective observation, but subjective. When the subject, with the help of subject, when you're observing, it has a value. That's what they are discovering. So our ancestors said, trying to seek that. And seeking that is by turning the attention from outside to within. And we can practice all the method of the things which will help us to make our minds calm. Because unless and until our minds are calm, we are not able to do vichara as such. That's because the mind as such is always involved with the lower things. It's involved with the senses. It is involved with the sense objects. The mind is involved with the relative things which are relative to the manas and senses. Similarly, ahankara, it wants to achieve those things which are outside. So these habits can be mellowed down. I would use that word, mellowed down, with practices like rituals, like that is activity basically. Activity, somebody says that I'm not interested in rituals as such, but I believe I want to do something so that I can alleviate the pain of others. I can remove the pain of others, suffering of others. All right, you do karma yoga. But at the same time, they put certain conditions with which you perform your action, so that action becomes yoga, it becomes karma yoga. Emotions, you direct your emotions to something lofty, and when you do that, you are able to make those emotions into yoga, convert those emotions into yoga, the bhakti yoga as such. But jnana yoga is purely taking the help of intellect There is an interesting personality of theory called as transactional analysis.
Hello.
From
Hello.
childhood, from the uh, parental figures, mother, father, teachers, elders, whatever instructions they are given, that remains in our mind and that disciplines our life. The second one is child. Child is basically it enjoys nature. It shares, it wants to share the joy. And also sometimes it wants to rebel when it sees something wrong. And in between is the adult. Parent and child, both of them are emotionally active. They have a lot of emotions. Whereas this adult is the one which solves all our problems. Because since it doesn't have any emotions, it analyzes, it has the capacity to analyze. And this was done by, this was discovered, this not this, this put forward by one Dr. Byrne, Eric Byrne. He says every one of us has this parent, child, and adult. So vichara is the one where we use the adult without much emotions, objectively looking at things. And when we are able to slowly and steadily turn our attention within, what happens is we are able to see a whole world inside. What is that word? We are able to see the mind and its activities, the intellect and its activities, and the ahankara. Ahankara is that which unnecessarily gets involved in things for which it is not necessary. So, using the intellect, we are slowly and steadily ask this question: why is it this mind is restless? Oh, it is because it is involved in something else. Can I keep the mind quietly? In fact, the moment can I try to when the moment we try to keep the mind silence the mind, it rebels like the child. So adult is used in the vichara. Asking a right question, observing the answer which is coming out of the question is the process of vichara. We proceed. As and when we start proceeding it, we begin to see the light within inside. It's like I give example that when we are walking in the sun and then we come inside the house. When we come inside, suddenly we are unable to see because the eyes are not able to uh, see anything in darkness. There is no darkness per se, but outside it was so lit, well lit, we are unable to see within. But as and when we relax or when we sit in a place or we get inside and then spend some time inside, what happens to you? You begin to see the things which are there in the house, inside the house. But when you came from the outside, you're unable to see. Something similar happens in the mind. Something similar happens within when you turn your attention within. Since we were habituated to look all only outside, we were unable to see what is within. And slowly and steadily, when you start becoming, are being patient with yourself. In fact, spirituality is being patient with oneself. Always what happens is when we sit for some meditation, after 5 minutes we get up, nothing is happening. You ask a person who has just begun to do meditation, he'll say that I've been meditating for 6 months and nothing is happening. My mind is going haywire the moment I sit. And then some of the people after 6 months say that the mind has become more violent, the more sort of scattered after these 6 months of practice. In fact, they are going through that phase. And if and only if they are patient with themselves, things will slowly settle down. It's like the Buddha is giving example. It says that he says when you disturb the riverbed and the water inside the river, not when you disturb with your legs, what happens is the mud comes out. But you stay quietly, keep your legs silently within the water itself. The, the mud will settle down. Something like that happens to the mind. By being patient, you'll be able to do this vichara better. And the more vichara you do, the more patient you become. This is the byproduct of vichara as such. And whatever happens in life, we are able to stand and face it. How? Because vichara has given you one wonderful technique. On its own, we develop this. It's not a technique per se. We just are. It's a gift which is given by vichara. What is that gift? The gift is that we are able to stand apart. Stand apart whatever is happening, the incident. Stand apart the situation which is there. Because you are able to see apart and then see, this is happening. That's what you're doing in the mind. When you're doing vichara, this is what is happening. You are able to see the disturbed mind. The disturbance is going on in the mind, but you're slowly able to rise above and then find out that you're away, you're away, somewhere away. Shastriji used to say that it appears as if the action is happening somewhere else, and you are standing apart. This standing apart is the one which will help us to be, face, to be happy, to be silent, to be calm, and at the same time to look at the world as a witness, sakshi as it's called. You are able to accept people. If someone says that, how is it I should know that I'm growing in spirituality? First of all, we should say that only the practitioner of spirituality, he or she will be able to know her or his growth. Nobody else. An outsider cannot gauge whether somebody has become spiritual or not. That's not possible. Have I become more patient? Have I become more calm? Am I peaceful? Am I able to, it's not the question of accept. There are good and bad things happening in the world. There are good and bad people. It's not that they are good and bad people. Their actions are bad. Their attitudes are bad. Their attitudes can be violent. But they are there. They're present. They are present. They are all part of this existence. So you are able to accept them. And once you start accepting them, why? You are standing apart. This standing apart is the one which will help us to, I think it's 6:30 now. 7:30. Have I crossed the time limit? Okay.
No, it's okay, Raghunandanji. 10 more minutes are there.
Okay. Fine.
Interesting. Please continue.
Okay. So this gift which we have got is the one which will help us to ward off all the problems and at the same time enjoy the world, because you are not involved in it, you are outside it. It's just like you're watching a movie, because in movie we get sometimes, you get emotionally involved in it, and then so you cry, you laugh, exactly. But the point is that you are able to see the things happening in the world, and probably that is the one which gives us lasting happiness. Then what happens to you when this happens? Initially you have to struggle, but that initial struggle is all in fact it's necessary, and I personally feel well spent. The energy which you have spent on the struggle is well spent, because it's all worth it. Recently we had gone to Sabarimala, and the hill climb, we used to feel that just 5 kilometers is nothing, but those 3 gradients which we got, almost 75 to 80 degrees gradients, we felt that it's impossible. We are palpitating, but still, somehow or the other, we felt we went on going. And after reaching there, we felt it was worth it. All the effort was worth it. All your struggles, all your sufferings, in fact, they are not sufferings. During the suffering periods, though during that struggle, what happens to you is all our negativities, all our bad habits, all our tendencies, they all dissolve. While dissolving, what happens is naturally, which are attached to us. In fact, they are literally attached to our skin. When they are pulled out, obviously there's going to be pain. So that pain is actually it's something like catharsis. It removes you of all your impurities. Yoga Vasishta says that there are Shubha Vasanas, Ashubha Vasanas, Malina Vasanas, and Shuddha Vasanas. So when you get into the Shuddha Vasanas, by trying, it's not removing it. But in fact, I feel that in one place, Swami Vivekananda says that Tyaga is not difficult. Most of the people, they say, we have the understanding that Tyaga means leaving things. He totally revolutionized that word. He says, Tyaga is not leaving. Tyaga is accepting something which is higher. When you accept something higher, obviously the lower will be less important to you. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that whenever you are climbing up a stair, climbing up, you want to go to the terrace of the house, you have to climb the stairs. So you go from the lower step to the higher step. So as and when you leave the lower step, actually it is left on its own because our attention is on the outside. So keep your attention within that knower, within that person, within that presence which is there in you, without which this whole body as such, it's a corpse. It doesn't have any meaning. Once this presence goes out of the body, then it is a dead body. It doesn't have any meaning. So when this presence is there, while it is there, learn how to be with it. And once you are with it, what happens is nothing. You just merge with it. There's a very beautiful sorry episode in Bhagavad. You see, we all know Dhruva, the child bhakta. You see, he wanted to go and sit on his father's lap. That's all he wanted. But he was not allowed. And then his mother, I think it is Suniti, who tells him that you go and seek the blessings of Vishnu and things will be all right. This child, who is 5 years old, he goes into the forest. You see, that's also a symbolic. Only a child can take to tapas because his mind is not complicated. So 5-year-old child, it goes, and then Narada gives that Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He does that penance. And then Vishnu appears in front of him. When he appears in front of him, and then the child opens its eyes, it is said that Dhruva was transfixed to the place. He was unable to speak. In Hindi, there's a very beautiful word, Thiturjana. No, you have just become like a statue. Then Vishnu takes the conch in his hand, Shankha, Panchajanya, and he touches the child's face with that Shankha. And the child starts singing. It says, Yontah pravishya mamavacha mimam prasuttam sanjeevayatyakila shakti dharasvadhamna अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगाधीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. He says, you entered me and enlivened my body. This is such a beautiful word. You enlivened my body, my senses, my speech. And that speech is coming because of your presence there, and this speech is coming out. You see, This is what is happening to all of us. If we are able to be with that presence, then everything we speak will become like that Manasa Puja of Shankaracharya. Yad yad karma tattadakhilam shambho tavaradhanam. That is, whatever activities I do, it will be your aradhana only. So I feel that I was given this opportunity, and I'm extremely grateful to Shastriji, because it continues. It has now. I think the whole thing has become my nature now. And Shastriji is like a person who taught me how to ride a bicycle. So normally the people who help you to learn the balance the bicycle, they'll be there for some time, and they as and when we learn the balancing act, then they leave you. Shastriji, uh, contrary to that, Shastriji is present in me. And so is Sri Ramakrishna. So is all the teachers who have given me something, and I have tried to imbibe whatever they have given. And I'm happy that I was able to share some of my thoughts. But I still feel, this online is all right. I'm I feel little uncomfortable. If it was if it was live, when people are there in front of me and they ask me questions and they stop me by asking a question, in fact, that would have been more interactive. But it's okay. It has its advantages that I don't have to travel, and nor the people who are listening to me have to travel from all over and come back. But then perhaps this is the second way. Let me get used to it. Perhaps I'll get used to it. If not, it's okay. I'm very, very thankful to all of you for patient listening, and I'm ready for your questions if there are.
Thank you very much, Raghunandan ji. I felt so connected with the last sentences which you mentioned, because I felt as if even Raghuram ji was telling me regarding this bicycle thing. Actually, he gave me that example about a similar when I was going through grief moments last year when I lost my mother-in-law and father. So that was a time which was very, very difficult. And I was quite depressed at that time. And there was a lot of fear that I'm going to be losing Raghuramji very soon, something like that. And when I conveyed to him, he beautifully said the same thing, like you said, that my presence is there in your heart. So just remember that presence is there, Prabha. So I'm only body right now in front of you, but my presence is there in your heart. So that felt it felt very connecting actually. Thank you so much. And I'm opening the platform. Okay, great. Already quiz. 1 second. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Lakshmi ji. If any questions are coming, it will be wonderful, because he talked about how the mind rebels and how it keeps beautiful going outwardly, and so the Ashtanga yoga aspect has been covered. I'm sure all the practitioners here would have been able to relate to what all he said today. And we didn't know about that Shastriji was a master of Prana Vidya, something which is very interesting to know also, and hope to understand about it more maybe in another session of yours maybe. And one more thing very interesting was a question which somebody was asking me. Is I thought of asking that question to you as a vichara question. Is a very simple day-to-day matter. Is a woman loves her saris and jewelry, for example, right? So I would say myself, I love jewelry and saris. So and she came and told me that Prabha, am I caught in Maya? I just love it, but I'm also I am also very connected to the divine, but there is always guilt in me that am I caught in this side? So where do I find the balance, and how can I come out of this deep interest towards dressing up myself and buying? I just enjoy. I love it. I value those assets, but I get very guilt. There is all of guilt, like that. Am I indulging too much? Because I'm in the spiritual pursuit. So just wanted to check up with you. Yes, please let us know.
You say, when you decorate yourself, I mean, when you stand in front of the mirror, don't you? Right? Now, you are looking at the image. Try to look at yourself. Who is looking at that image? Then don't nod your head just now. You do it in front of the image. You are dressing, and then you try to see yourself that image. It is the presence which is seeing that image, and then that's how you become a witness. The moment you become a witness, where is Maya? Maya is not there. You have to become you have to identify with the person who is seeing the image. We get identified with the image. That's the problem.
Beautiful. Actually, right now itself, since I am in spotlight, I'm seeing myself. And yeah, sometimes we just look at the outer structure, like what you said. We're not looking into the deeper aspect. I think when we recognize that, so what you say is, if I'm recognizing the presence within that Prabha there, so that Prabha does not exist, that presence, the magnificent presence exists. So then when I'm going on understanding that, would I be able to let go or outgrow, like how you said, the climbing the steps? A day will come, then there are jewelries, there are saris, and there are hundreds of things around. I would just, it's there, but I just, well, my attention is on the presence. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Okay, okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. One question: during introspection, mind ego starts labeling vichara as lower or higher. How to understand this aspect of vichara?
One of the most important thing which we have to remember whenever we are either doing meditation or vichara is there is nothing called as good thought and bad thought. Nothing called as higher thought and lower thought. It's a thought. So, for example, I'll give you with an example. In this process of vipassana, I do not know whether you have heard of vipassana. Vipassana is a meditation, Buddhist meditation. It says that whatever is happening to you, they start with the body only. Whatever is happening in your body, don't identify with don't describe it in your mind. This is a good feeling. I'm already relaxed. So relaxed is a good feeling. My legs are paining. He says they all come. He says it's very beautiful thought. Buddha says all these are anitya. They come and go. The same thought is given by Bhagavad Gita also. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkada agamo payino anitya tam titikshasva bharat. Whenever there's a contact between senses and the objects, what happens is there'll be outcome, whether it will be pleasurable or painful, whether it's hot and that is bodily discomfort and mental discomfort. All these will come and go. Don't identify with them. Just bear them in your mind. I was again telling you, be patient. The moment you are patient, let them come. It's okay. And invariably, what happens is those things will pass off. Same is the case when you're doing vichara. There's nothing like high elevated vichara, low it well. We are doing vichara means we are observing or we are looking at our own mind in an uninvolved way. You're not involved. You are just trying to become a witness. And many times it so happens, it's initially we'll flow away with the thought. That's there. But be patient. Don't scold the mind. Don't scold the mind. Don't even sort of avoid the mind. Don't give it any award. Just say it's okay, fine, no problem. Nothing is lost. Come back again. Observe. If you're doing meditation, come back. So if you're observing the breath, observe your breath. If you're observing the thoughts, observe the thoughts. And this this process will make you silent witness. Silent witness means uninvolved witness. In fact, at the end of your vichara as such, you become a witness, and that witness and the witness which is there, which we are talking about, presence, they are the same. They are not different.
I think most of the time witnessing happens for many of us with a critical thought also, the judgmental, that why am I thinking such low thoughts? Why am I doing like this? See, I'm going in this field, see how my mind goes. And very truly you said that we are a silent spectator, not a like a muted spectator just watching there kind of a thing. Yes, thank you so much. Ellen Shastriji has asked, can you please repeat the Kannada Vachana about that lamp on the threshold?
Yeah, I'll just
And then one more question by Mukunji. I will ask that also.
yeah. ಹೊಸ್ತಿಲೊಳಗಿರಿಸಿದ ಜ್ಯೋತಿಯಂತೆ ಒಳಗೆ ನೋಡುವನು ತಾನೆ, ಹೊರಗೆ ನೋಡುವನು ತಾನೆ. ಅರಿದೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ, ಮರೆದೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ, ಕಂಡೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ, ಕಾಣೆನೆಂಬವನು ತಾನೆ. These two lines only I remember. I don't remember anything else. But they were so catchy, as far as probably I was receptive at that time. And this is what is vichara actually. This is by Lingama, one Lingama. I believe she was 12th century Shaiva saint. I have not read, but
And you talked about receptivity also. I think that is also such an important thing during the vichara also, that how open-mindedness and receptive we are to the knowledge which is flowing from the teacher, from you, or from everyone, isn't it, Raghunandanji?
basically, I think, Vichara Marga or the Upanishadic method, they give you three steps: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. The Shravana is the most important aspect as far as Guru and Shishya are concerned, or from where the knowledge is coming. I would rather use the word wisdom, because this is not knowledge is about something, wisdom is coming. So receptivity is important. So listening is important. And how do we listen? We listen when there are no other thoughts in that. You don't allow any other thought, because this is important. The thing which I'm going to hear, and it's not necessary. We never the rishis never forced themselves upon us. They said, "Listen to me," means that they were telling us something. But suppose we go with preconceived notions, then we'll not be able to get what they are giving us, receive what they are giving. So leave aside all the preconceived notions. Then immediately the youngsters will ask, does it mean that we are going to shut the intellect? No, we are not shutting the intellect. You listen to what they say first. If you don't listen, then actually the ears are listening, but at the same time the mind is, it's creating questions and probably saying that this is right, this is not right. You see, again came your judgmental. This is right, this is not right. Many times when we go to listen to somebody, if the person who is talking, speaker is talking our thoughts, then we nod our head. But if no, you're not, you become little reserved. Says, no, he's not talking. I remember we had gone to Delhi to listen to J. Krishnamurti ji, a wonderful person. But probably he used to use such difficult words. That's what we felt. But as a person, if you observe him, observe something wonderful. He said something. He said that unless until you are in the present, in fact, I remember the words, unless and until you are in the present, even if you read the Upanishads, they'll be of no use to you. Somebody stood up and then started arguing. Actually, he was not listening. So this is what happens. It's a disaster that the meeting which you had gone to attend, J. Krishnamurti ji, you went without listening him. That's a tragedy, actually. Anyway, that's besides the point. This is it. Don't be judgmental when you are listening. Then later on, yes, Now the discussions are going on. You give 100 arguments against what I said. Oh, no problem. That, in fact, that's how they learned. The Upanishadic method was that only. That's why I always say that Shastriji, sort of made that alive for us.
So it's so for example, now today you have given a session, Shravanam happened. During the Mananam time is when the questions arise for a person, because you have heard everything, then it is
Nominating.
beautifully in the ruminating, and then the question asked. Many times what happens, many people in the beginning itself, one sentence and one question, hand raise, another question, another hand raise. So there is, like you said, there is impatience to hear everything, but more about questions rather than receiving. I think that is one important thing to understand. Mukunji, is Vichara Marga same as Jnana Marga?
Yes, yes, it is. It's same.
I think it's already 7:50. Yes, Radhakrishnan sir, you wanted to say something? Okay, sorry, Sindhuji, please unmute yourself. Yeah. You can unmute. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Namaste. Thank you so much, sir, for your vicharas today. And out of Mananan that I'm asking these questions. So, if I understood it right, you could always correct me on that. That we all, this whole world, can is on its spiritual path. Each one of us are on a spiritual path. That if it doesn't happen in this life, that it's going to maybe happen in next life or the lives. That is my first question. And then I'll go to the second one, if you can answer this one, sir. Thank you.
That's that's the belief as such. That this search as such continues life after life, because we have lived a lot of lives earlier. In fact, this is one of the most important presumptions which the Sanatan Dharma goes, that we take life after life, and as far as possible we improve our lives from lower to the higher as such. So after finishing in fact, the assumption is that we take birth in a particular place and particular family and particular situation because we have uh, certain tendencies which are to be exhausted in this particular life.
Okay.
So after finishing those tendencies, what happens is we take the next birth, and in the next birth it will be an improvement. Uh, I believe this question was asked of Satsai Babaji of
Okay.
Puttaparthi. He was asked this question, says that so people say that suppose I don't act properly and my actions are not in tune with the human life as such, I'll be born as an insect or I'll be born as an animal. He gave a very beautiful answer. He said that you fail in third class. So you have failed in third class. Will you go to first class or kindergarten? The man said no. He said, I have answered your question. So wherever you have left, you'll proceed. That
Okay.
is, maybe you have done something, and when that, and as far as a spiritual activity is concerned, with that activity you will start in the next life. So that's an assurance which is given by all people. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna tells again and again in his gospel. What he says is, some 5-6 days back we were reading. He assures you that nobody in this existence goes without food. Some people get it in the morning, some people in the noon, some people in the afternoon, and some people in the evening. But nights, they'll all go with full stomach. Nobody goes hungry.
Wow.
Similarly,
Wow.
all of you will get enlightened
Okay.
earlier or later.
Okay.
Because earlier, because you had started your journey earlier, and you have some of us have only begun now. It's okay. Be patient. Let the work happen, and then things will
Okay.
happen.
Wonderful.
This
Thank you. Thank you
assurance is
so
given by all the people.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. So my second question is regarding like what Prabhaji asked about our desires. And you say if we become the witness to the, how should I put this? So she was talking about the saris and jewelries that she likes, right? Um, and if we are just the witness to that, so does that mean that we are cutting down our desires, or it is just happening automatically as we become the witness?
I'll give you an example, which, but these two scriptures, I call it as a scripture. One is Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the second one is Yoga Vasishta. Sri Ramakrishna said that once he had a desire that it should be that one silver hookah. Earlier, people used to accept smoking. So he says, I want to, it's called as hubbub. That is the smoking. I want to smoke that and want to put on a silken shawl on me. And Mathur Babu, who was taking care of him, it was during his sadhana actually. He's giving an sort of an illustration and an example to all of us. The shawl was brought, and then immediately Thakur took it, and then he kept it down. The Hubble was also there. He probably took one or two puffs. He threw it off. He threw that shawl and he jumped on it. He says, mind, you asked for these two things. You experienced. Did you like it or not? The mind answered, no. Throw it off. So he has answered our question. He says, all right, if you like it, you continue it. He has given another example. He says, mother, he used to call Kali mother. Mother, when she has a child, a baby in arm, what she does is she gives him a lot of toys. So, and then she goes for her work. So this child is playing with the toys all the time. And then, but a time comes, it says, when he gets bored with the thoughts, then he starts creating hell there. And then he starts calling and shouting. It says, mother doesn't have any other choice than to come back and take him to the bosom, he says. So it is like this. This world is given to us so that we'll play. If you want to play, no problem. See, again, Thakur, he says that we are playing hide and seek with mother. If we find mother, fine. If we don't find mother, fine. Why? Because we are playing hide and seek. Keep searching. In fact, this cultural thought is so beautiful and so unique. What it says is each one of us has to discover the path which is meant for him or her, because we are totally unique. We are unique in this existence. Each one of us. Don't try to copy anybody. You are unique human being. Take the thoughts and discover which suits you the best, and you will find. Be patient, you'll find.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Wonderful. Wow. Thank you. And thank you, Prabhaji, for giving us this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We will end the session, and then Radhakrishnan sir want to say something to Raghunandan ji. We will have that. Just help the YouTube ending. ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ. Thank you very, very much, Raghunandan ji. I really wish that we have some talk series completely on one topic only, because it was so, I didn't feel as if it's already 8 o'clock. It just went on and on. And I'm sure all the people who have attended also must have felt the same. Thank you, Lata ji. I'm seeing you also, Lata Hemchandji. Thank